It's almost the end of the year, so I guess this is a moment when I should take a step back to reflect on the makeup products that I really enjoyed this year. Shall we begin? I am doing this in somewhat of the order of which I would apply these things. I really enjoyed the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base this year. I am scraping at the bottom at this point, and it smells like geranium to me. And it's just such a nice thick cream. Next up, again, I don't know if this is any indication of how much I use the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream, but that is, I'm scraping at the bottom at this point. I believe it has a really small SPF in it. It just reminds me of just a nice, like, lightly rose scented cold cream or something. And I love the way that it preps my face for putting on some makeup. And then lastly, the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Hydrating Primer. This stuff is the best, and it also smells incredible too. I don't know, it smells like something, like a faint memory of something, and I love it. I have not used it quite as much as the other two, but the other ones were older, so I was trying to get through them before they expired or something. All right, next up. I typically like doing my brows as quickly as possible so I don't have to look at my face with them. This is a serious hang up that I have because I have bald spots on my eyebrows and it really bothers me for whatever reason. I'm fine with everything else, mostly. Anywho, these were the ones that I kept coming back to. I've really enjoyed the Precisely My Brow by Benefit in 2.5. It's like a great shade for me, and I love how fine it is, like a little tiny precision brush. I also really enjoyed the Fenty Beauty Brow MVP. This is an ash brown, also another fine pencil. I just like being able to really get in there, you know? And I loved the brush on this. It's just like a little weird buffer. So those are the two pencils that I've been using a ton. Most of the time, I was using the Glossier Boy Brow, but its place in my heart, I think, might have been usurped by the Rimmel Wonderful Brow. This is in 001 Light. It's been very good to me this year. This was a recent discovery, but I have been using it constantly, today, all the time, whatever. The Bare Minerals Strength and Length Serum Infused Brow Gel, and this one is in Chestnut. I just love how spiky the bristles are, so I feel like it gets every single tiny hair and makes the most out of them. I would also like to say runner up to the Ka-Brow by Benefit, because I have recently fallen in love with this yet again, probably within the last week or so, and I just can't stop using it. So I'm just gonna throw it in there as a favorite because I foresee myself using this a ton more. But it has like this little brushy, and it's like a nice gel in here. Yeah. While I did try quite a few different palettes, I feel like it's a lot of the same stuff over and over, maybe? I'm not sure. Anywho, these two MAC eyeshadows, can't remember what the collection was called. Clear and Free and Clear, I don't know. This one is Paint by Umber and this one is Bougie Babe. I don't know what it is, but these two shades, maybe it's because I have blue eyes, I just really feel like they make my eyes pop. I think that single shadows are due for a comeback, because sometimes palettes are just too much. Okay, next up is the Afterglow palette from NARS. I initially was like, oh, this is pretty, you know, whatever. It turns out that I've just been using this nonstop. I love these two shades right here, and then also this brown over here, and then these pink and this, like, the only thing I haven't really touched in here is the pink, and I keep meaning to because it looks so fun. I think I've swatched it, but that's about it, and I will get to it. For some reason, this is just such a perfect palette for me, and the shadows have been really great. Another wee palette. I know it's just like, okay, nothing revolutionary. It's browns and some shimmers, but this Fenty #1 palette in True Neutrals, this is like an everyday yes for me. And then these other two, it's like, oh yeah, of course, whatever. The Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Instant Eye Palette. Again, these are just all of my, these are all of my shades. This is what I would mostly like to be wearing most of the time, all the time. Just give me a natural, neutral look. And that's pretty much what I love wearing day to day. So this works for me. Also, I love that this palette is majority matte too. I think the more I learn about myself, the more I prefer mattes, and then just maybe in a shimmer on occasion, but all of these are mattes, and there's two shimmers at the top, two right here, and then you got another matte. Perfect. One last thing. The Laura Mercier Metallic Taupe Caviar Eye Stick. Do you see this? No, you can't because my camera refuses to focus on it. There we go. Like, gorgeous. And it's one stick. Like, I could travel with just these two things. Little crease shadow and then bada bing, bada boom, this little caviar stick, done. I would be happy just with that. It's so beautiful. Anyway, I fell in love with caviar sticks this year. That was new to me. I was really suspect of the PILLOWTALK eyeliner. I was like, oh, that's kind of a strange idea, but it's turned out to be such a versatile color for me, and I love using it. This is on there, along with the Charlotte Tilbury Rock and Coal Iconic Liquid Eye Pencil in Eye Cheat. There's not a look that I don't do that involves this probably 80% of the time. I love it on the inner corner of my waterline. What can I say? I have really been enjoying the NARS Climax, which I do not have right now. I just finished that tube. Two other mascaras that I discovered this fall and have been loving is the Burt's Bees Olive Flutter Multi-Benefit Mascara, Classic Black. I love the brush on this. It's been great. So fibrous, and I feel like it just gets every single one of my non-existent lashes. I'm real happy with that. My other favorite is the Honest Beauty mascara. It is a spiky wand, which I typically do not like at all. And yet, I love this one. It's so good. I would rebuy this one. It was gifted, but I would rebuy it. So I don't like using foundation a ton. Typically, I will just concentrate on this area because I do have quite a bit of rosacea on my cheeks, but like, I don't know, I just don't bother with my forehead most of the time. It seems to work out. I haven't noticed anything weird about it, but I typically will lean towards more tinted moisturizer situations than full-on, full coverage foundations. With that said, this is probably the one that I use the absolute most. It is the Laura Mercier Tinted Moisturizer. I love it. It goes on really well. I don't find that it like sinks into any of like my crevasses or wrinkles or anything like that. It's just like a nice way to even things out before I put on my blush and whatnot. The other two, if I want like a little bit more coverage, I will either use the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter Hydrating Longwear Foundation, or again, Laura Mercier Flawless Lumiere Radiance Perfecting Foundation. This one was, I think I tried it early spring and was blown away. Just, first of all, color match for me was great. This one was 1W1 Ivory, and for a foundation I found that it really had, you could probably build it up more, but it was like just enough for me to like sheer out on my face, and it was perfect. And like, I don't know, Fenty just feel like they just, every time they just nail it. So there's that. What can I say? This Glossier Stretch Concealer I have been using since Glossier launched. I've replaced it several times. This is light 10. It's really great. However, I find that as I get older, it's starting to sink into my creases a bit more. I still use it though. It is a great sheer little concealer when you just want to dabba 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 and you don't have much to hide. I have been into the Bobbi Brown Creamy Concealer as well. And this is nice because it has a little powder too, so you can powder under your eyes as well. This has been good, and I like that it's in a pot and I can just like take however much I need with a brush. The other two have been more recent. I can't remember when I got the Fenty one, but I do like the Fenty concealer quite a bit. I find it really easy to work with, though I like to do one eye at a time because I find that it dries quite quickly. And then lastly, I've really been enjoying the Juice Beauty concealer. I don't know if there's like a special name for it, but yeah, it's their concealer. You kind of have to like work the product a bit. It's like if you took the Glossier concealer but made it more matte. Glossier is very dewy, whereas this is like more of a matte, fuller coverage concealer. Bronzers have been good to me this year. Aside from my little accident with good old Marc Jacobs here, you know, the hole in the middle has been sad. I now have to swirl around it, but that's fine, that's fine. This is in Fantastic. I do love this very, very, very much and have been using it for most of the year until a certain 2 other bronzers came along and made me question who was my favorite. First of all, the Fenty Cream Bronzer, beautiful, beautiful. Love this thing. I got one in 03 Macchiato, gorgeous. I could probably go a little bit lighter because this is sort of dark on me, but since it's a cream, it's really easy to sheer out and do with like a beauty sponge or whatever. It's been gorgeous. And the most recent one was the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in 2 Medium. And I love that you can keep the packaging and just replace this. However, look at how massive this is. Who knows how long it'll take me to actually use it all, but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful bronzer that I'm just thrilled to have in my collection. Just turns out that I actually like quite a bit of Charlotte Tilbury stuff. Blushes are fun. I think it all begins with the Glow Play blushes from MAC. The texture of these, it's like creamy, but also a solid, but like so velvety and smooth feeling. I really feel like they knocked it out of the park on this formula. And this is in So Natural, one of my favorites. They came out with so many beautiful ones, but I think this is probably my most used one. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Oof. So happy to have this in my collection. Next up, Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. I'd been sent other Charlotte Tilbury blushes over the years, like when they first launched in Canada. Ooh, I don't even know, I was still living at my parents' house then. 2015-ish. When I first opened this, I was like, ooh, that's kind of shiny. I prefer matte blushes or, you know, cream blushes that are like dewy, but like don't have some sort of sparkle to this. Whereas this has like a bit of a sparkle, but it's not like chunky sparkle. It's just like a nice glow. Anyway, tried it out and I'm like, no, this is perfection. It's, you could almost just use this and not even have to put a highlighter on your cheek. I do anyway, because why not? Might as well. It is so glowy and beautiful, and yeah, I'm actually wearing it today. So, of course we had to have a cream bronzer. Oh my God, it's not even bronzer. Of course we had to have a cream blush in here, and it will be Fenty. It will be Fenty. This is Petal Poppin'. These cream blushes wear so nicely, and they're such great colors. The other thing is Burt's Bees and their All Glow, what is this? All Glow Lip and Cheek Stick. Oof, in this beautiful peachy color. It's just a great drugstore blush. I love it. I can't rave about these enough, and it blends so beautifully too. The next product is sort of a hybrid because it's a bit of a face palette. So this is the RMS palette. I was sent it by the Detox Market, who specializes in natural, non-toxic makeup and skincare products. I was like, okay, sure. I mean, none of this is really like mind-boggling, you know, when you look at it. However, these blushes, cream blushes, and I guess you could use them as lip colors too. Beautiful, stunning. I mean, I just love a good peachy blush. I think is that maybe should be the takeaway from this. And then this dusty rose color. Beautiful. And then the 2 highlighters on the top. I think I like this one more just because I feel like this one has a bit of a white sheen to it. Whereas this one, it's like champagne-y kind of. Anyway, I've been really enjoying this palette. I haven't really been using the beeswax side at all, but you know, it's there. And that bridges our way into talking about highlighters. I would be remiss if I did not mention this Killawatt highlighter palette from Fenty because I have just dug into this side, which is Lightning Dust. I like using it as an eyeshadow. I like using it as highlighter. I just love it. I could probably travel with just this. And again, a nice neutral brown eyeshadow and be good in terms of eye makeup. For a powder highlighter, it is so creamy. I don't know how they do it. This formula kind of reminds me of the MAC Glow Play blushes. We're talking about Burt's Bees again. This dang highlighter still stuns me and is a dupe for Glossier. I'm telling you here. This is the Opal Mist. I don't know if you can see it, but it's just like a nice, beautiful, like glow. And again, great for travel because look, don't need any brushes. It's just is. we're gonna talk about Charlotte Tilbury again. I'm sorry. I love her products. It just is what it is. Hollywood Flawless Filter for a Superstar, a Youth Glow. This shit is amazing. I tried using it as foundation once and I just looked like the Tin Man, so I do not recommend that. But using it on your cheekbones and just, you know, dab a here and there where you want to highlight. Bobbi Brown, the Bare Glow. This is a more subtle, dewy, glowing from within type product that sometimes I will either put it on first or mix it into foundation, skin tint, that kind of thing, just to have like more of a dewy looking face. It smells great too. The geranium smell to it too. This is in Bare Glow, so it's pretty subtle, but sometimes subtle is the best. We are in the final category, which is lips, which given this year have not gotten the attention that they normally do because, well, masks. I have been loving the Bite. The Bite Agave, what is this? Nighttime Lip Therapy. I don't always just use it at nighttime. I just use it all the time because it tastes nice, smells good, feels amazing on the lips, especially in wintertime. And look at this giant container of it. It's great. We'll see how long it lasts, but hopefully a while. The Fenty Beauty Clear Gloss in what? Sorry, Glass Slipper. This stuff is beautiful. I am a clear gloss gal. I didn't know that. For the longest time, I denied myself of glosses because I was having flashbacks to, you know, the early 2000s when Paris Hilton and MAC Purr was like my idea of chic. And I just went through this long ass matte phase, and I'm glad to have come out the other side of that and started to embrace the gloss again. And I think I should thank Fenty for that. Okay, Burt's Bees again. Another Glossier dupe. I'm just gonna keep talking about this. But they're, what is this? Their matte stick in Buttery Blush. This is the one that I'm almost positive is expired because it smells like Play-Doh, but the color is gorgeous and I just haven't had a chance to replace it. So yeah, Buttery Blush in the matte stick is perfection in my eyes. And this is similar to the Generation G lipsticks from Glossier. Okay, again, Charlotte Tilbury, but like, fuck. How can you resist the Pillow Talk collection? I don't know. Pillow Talk lipstick. I can't remember what this formula is called, but it's in this like skinny one. It's also like, I want to say $40, which is outrageous. However, it's so beautiful. And I love it because it's just easy to wear. It's easy to wear. I'm also holding the other two that I'm going to show you. These are recent faves, but I'm going to include them because I can foresee myself using them quite a bit. These are the MAC Powder Kiss liquid lipsticks. And this one is in Crossfade, and this one is in Sorry Not Sorry. And they're quite similar, although this one's more of a coral and this one's kind of like on the orangey side. They're gorgeous. They look so good on and they wear really well. And I think that's all. That brings us to the conclusion of my makeup favorites for this year. I would also like to mention that I have found a deep appreciation for the Fenty brush collection. They're one of my favorites to use. That and, well, you know, my MAC brushes from 2005. That should do it. What have been your favorites this year? Did we have any overlapping favorites? Thanks so much for joining me and we'll see you soon. Toodles!